For me, the movie directed and written by Jordan Peele, Get Out was probably the best movie I've seen in a decade.
In a decade, wow.
In the past 10 years. It was amazing, and there was a lot of amazing symbolism in it, and I caught on to some of it, but we're gonna discuss 22 instances, and some of them, the highlights, basically the highlight reel of what was in Get Out that was so amazing as far as symbolism. But I must warn you, spoiler alert. This is me giving you guys a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Get Out, tune away. Like the video, comment I haven't seen Get Out yet, smash that like button, but then tune away and then come back after you see the movie.
Immediately after.
Immediately, because it's just awesome. We're gonna get to it right now. Spoiler alert, and we're getting to it, okay?
So goodbye to those of you who have not seen the video, and welcome to those of you that have.
Okay. Thank you for welcoming them back, Grace.
Welcome.
Okay, so the first symbolism starts off early on in the movie when Rose and Chris are driving up to upstate, wherever Rose's racist ass family lives, right? And a police comes over, a police car comes over after they hit a deer, and Rose sticks up for Chris. But we learn that Rose isn't actually sticking up for Chris when she argues with the cop about showing ID, which for a lot of people was like a brief moment of showcasing that Rose is, maybe not, Rose is like this non-racist, like, because race is at the forefront of the movie, surprise. But in reality, she's just avoiding a paper trail. So that I thought was cool. You saw these, right? Because I want to hear your reaction on, like, did you catch on to that? Because a lot of people didn't catch on to the deer symbolism. And after Rose and Chris hit the deer, Rose doesn't even go and take care of the deer, whereas Chris does. He goes over there, and it's the hit and run analogy, the hit and run theme, which is around Chris's life. As you know, his mother was killed in a drive-by shooting and a hit and run, and he didn't do anything about it. So it's kind of starting that hit and run theme. Were you aware of this?
And that he is looking, he has this empathy for the deer, and he goes to look at the body. And Rose does not.
Something he didn't do with his mom, though.
Right.
Something that we learned later on that affected him deeply.
The hit and run with the deer has extra meaning for him. Let's go into some of the juicier ones.
And Rose doesn't show empathy, but then no, the buck analogy I wanted to talk about, because this was the first time I realized, like, oh, that's pretty apparent. When Dean, Rose's father, is talking about deer, the deer infestation. And he's like, he has a lot of words to say. And these are words I've heard describe minorities, non-white specifically, in the past, where he's like, they're good riddance, I say. Any deer that's exterminated is a good day. Like something along those lines. And that's actually, black buck was a racist slur in post-Reconstruction America, referring to blacks. Did you know that? You did. Okay, Grace, maybe we shouldn't even discuss any of this. Maybe we should instead talk about.
Look, I read the list, but I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now.
Oh, no, that's what I'm referring to.
Oh, I didn't know
I'm referring to, like, what didn't you. Obviously, if you read the list, you know the symbolisms. You read the list, Grace. I'm saying, did you know while you were watching the movie?
No.
Did you pick up on these?
No, but I did pick up. I didn't know the specifics of that term, but I did recognize that the language was obviously very pointed.
And you know what else I realized too? Like, in order to drive up the tension, they would pronounce certain words with more emphasis. I don't know, like black buck or like good riddance, or when he says there's black mold in the basement. And for me, that was striking, because like, oh, the basement's locked, we don't go down there. There's a lot of black mold, and I was just like, ooh. There's definitely like black people down in the basement. Like, they have black people trapped in the basement for sure. And then we find out later that it is true. And also, by the way, Dean gets killed by being impaled on a buck that was mounted, a deer antler.
Yeah.
So that's the other symbolism. That's like the call to what's happening. This I didn't know. Georgina, which we find out later is actually the grandmother. Is Grandma Georgina. She gets transed up when Missy, the mom, the great hypnotizer, accidentally clicks her spoon, and that's why she like like that's why she resets and like starts spilling. Originally, I thought it was just because like they just overwhelmingly could not handle that there was a black man in the house that wasn't like a slave, but. It was not that.
Yeah, the one thing that I think
really
Get
cool.
Out did really well is that it didn't really reveal what the game was or what the catch was until the end, but you knew that there were certain indicators that would set off the other black characters in the movie, and it was interesting for just feeling myself speculate, like what is it and what is the correlation to the deer? I was wondering if like maybe they were doing experiments with animals as well earlier on, and then just the way that they tied together at the end made complete sense.
I always thought it was just hypnosis. It was just straight up hypnotizing black people to be slaves, right?
I think that's where they lead you down.
Yeah, like they point in that direction, and then but you understand that there are certain parts in the movie where you see Georgina like fixing her hair, or you see that like the Walter, who's Dean's father, grandfather, who's running. You never see him without a hat, and you never see any of the black characters without a hat because then we realize the procedure involves lobotomy. So that's why they're always hiding their scars. So that's what Georgina was doing, and I thought that was really cool. The running part I couldn't understand at all until it made sense towards the end of the movie when they're like, no, that's actually his grandfather, and he's like, oh. He's running every night because like now he has this, he has this strong black body, and he's just letting out his anger in that way, or like he still loves to run because he lost to.
It was terrifying when he's just running at
I know. When he lost to Jesse Owens in the Berlin Olympics. It's just so great. I loved it. God damn it. It was so good. It was such a good movie.
A piece of symbolism that I really like, and this is probably a huge spoiler, but what's her name? Allison Williams' character, Rose. In the movie, you see her when she flips the switch, you see her separating, what is it? They're not Cheerios, Fruit Loops.
No, she's eating
milk.
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops and milk while listening to the song from Dirty Dancing, and the symbolism behind that is that she's separating the something colored from something like from milk, from white
like
milk.
not mixing coloreds and whites. And I originally thought like, no, that's just a sociopathic like white person tendency.
It is that
to just eat. And she was so methodical. I love the way that scene was shot. She's just like sitting, and behind her you can see all of her previous victims. And by the way,
with her shirt
props
buttoned up
to Allison Williams for just being one of the best actresses that I had no idea. She was so amazing because I never watched Girls. Like, holy shit, is she this good in Girls? Because she is, like Amir made this statement, sorry to cut you off one more time, but Amir made this statement that just like stuck with me. They should make a remake of American Psycho as Allison Williams is the main Psycho.
Well, they did do a female, American Psycho 2 was with Mila Kunis. But it wasn't.
Okay, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth.
Right, it wasn't that good, and it was a while ago. But I think that Allison Williams does an amazing job in this. She is totally different than how she is in Girls, but still a great job in this movie. But yeah,
that scares me. Maybe she is kind of psycho then, because like she's too good. She's too convincing. That point when she's looking for her keys, all the way up to that point, you're still like, she's good. She's one of the good guys. Maybe she's hypnotized too, even though you saw all the victims, like all of her previous boyfriends and girlfriends. You're like, maybe she's hypnotized. Like she's dangling her keys, and then in the end goes, I can't give you these, right? And I was like, no. Everyone in the movie there was like, no. Like everyone has had such a visceral reaction to like all of especially the last 15 minutes of the movie where like, finally, he's escaping, and everyone was just, I got up and I was like, yeah, like I don't know, I never watched movies that way. I did, I got up like half got up and I was like, yeah, like I've never experienced a movie that way. I never championed a cause so much that I've seen in a movie. But it was amazing. And there's plenty more that we could talk about, but I think you nailed it with the Allison Williams non-mixing the coloreds and whites.
Thank you.
The final thing I wanted to say, and this isn't like symbolism, but what I really love about this movie is that it's so similar to Atlanta in the sense that it doesn't let the progressive seeming liberal Americans that say shit like, I would have voted for Obama a third term, get away with their subtle nuanced racist opinions. And that even includes fetishizing African Americans or black people in general. Like, because they do, there's a fascination in the movie that you see with these like progressive white people that are just like, oh, like you're so strong, your genetic makeup, with your genetic makeup, oh, you'd be a beast. And the whole concept behind it, the whole driving force behind that story is our brains and your manpower, we could dominate. So it's an inherently racist concept because they're saying like black people are by and large not as intelligent as white people. And if you've been paying attention, if you're not living under a rock, you've been paying attention to the election, I think we have disproven that quite sadly and quite publicly, where the 44th president was probably, I would say, 10 times smarter than the 45th one. And the president before him too. God, Barack Obama, which is great. I would have voted for him a third time, but we want to hear from you guys. What was your favorite symbolism from this movie? Have you seen Get Out? Did you watch this entire video without seeing Get Out and ruin it for yourselves? Leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. When we will see you next time on Pop Trigger.